What's up, future shred lords? Welcome back. Death to the fingers. Looks like we're talking about the future of music today on the last day of the Shredcation 2025. Back to work on Tuesday. You know how it is. But, based on the video previous on Metal YouTube taking a bit of a hit there, is that the canary in the coal mine, if you will, with respect to the music industry at large? It's pretty dark out there. Not going to lie. I saw a David Nosey video where he was doing a big expose on this completely fake, made-up AI 70s rock band that was being promoted on Spotify, with entries into a newsletter or whatever it is that they do on email, I guess, and probably on playlists. It'd only been out for a few months, already garnered several hundreds of thousands of listeners and hundreds of thousands of plays. And he was like, let's be honest, the AI just goes out and scrapes other people's music and then just reconfigures it and then repackages it and out it goes. And so if it was Spotify in the first place that came up with this fake band, in essence, they could spend $2,000 or $3,000 to have this band pump out some music and put it on their website and then generate maybe tens of thousands of dollars in compensation for themselves, and then just scrap the band whenever they feel like it or bring it back out of retirement when they want to. You see what I mean? The musician is slowly being erased. I didn't actually realize it, but I was thinking about it maybe a couple years ago. I was like, in the old days, you had the people who made film and vinyl, like the actual raw material, because we're like, we make records. So there were people out there that, would send you whatever, the raw materials to the record making factory to make a vinyl record. And then you had the factory people and the maintenance workers. And then you had the people that marketed it and the artists. You had the recording engineers and the people that ran the studio. The musicians, their managers, the touring support, people setting up the stages and doing the front of house and lighting and all the rest of that. Even later on, coming up with, more innovative solutions. I watched an amazing documentary, front of house documentary on Metallica, and the kinds of innovations that they were coming up with flying their sound system. And it was just like, wow, man. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. Their setup was just, wow. I guess. But you see what I'm saying? We've taken all that away. You could just play every single instrument you want just through the computer. Right? You don't need a guitar player to come in and do a session with you, or just hang out and do it for free. It's not even about the money. You see what I mean? We've killed off the community aspect. People don't connect anymore in sort of tangential ways like they used to, like when the musicians would form friendships with people who made guitars or effects or amplifiers and whatnot, and then endorse those products, and they become legendary like Marshall and Fender. Now it's just some faceless corporate entity that doesn't care. They're just like, protect the bottom line and increase profits. Oh, this person's hot. Machine Gun Kelly, let's give them a guitar endorsement. How's that working out for you? Like, what? There are long-reaching sort of consequences when you just blindly start messing with the natural order of stuff. Let's look at an even more pressing concern. There is like this sort of training gauntlet is what I want to call it. I was going to say an incubation period, but it's more like a training gauntlet where the people that were really, really interested in music and actually had skill and talent had to work towards getting there material in front of somebody that could actually disperse it to the wider world. And that sort of internal fire and desire, if you will, mixed with the raw talent, is what forged most of the greatest musicians. Because let's face it, life on the road and being a rock star is not as cracked up as it's, made to be. It's a lot of hard work and lonely nights and everything else. I mean, how many of these people have, ended themselves in a lonely motel room somewhere? It just happens over and over and over again. And that's just it. When you hit the highest of the highs, when you hit those lows, man, and there ain't nobody there either. And that's the other thing. You see what I mean? Like, it became less and less about the Hayden Ashbury days where just a bunch of hippies hanging out, getting stoned and playing music and stuff like that. But it was a community. And it became just like, oh, you're a product. So I'll just drain you for all you're worth creatively. And then when you become problematic or you stop being able to produce such that it sells, we'll just kick your ass to the curb and that's it. You're done. And oh, by the way, here's this massive bill. You owe us $10 million. We're going to take your house now and turn it into, the new honey trap for the next generation. Oh yeah, no. Here are the keys to this guest house here. $10 million up in the Hollywood Hills, and some 19-year-old goes up there and they get wined and dined, and they're like, yeah, no, sign this 50-page legal contract after a few champagnes. Sure, and that's it. Deal with the devil, done. You know what I mean? They just didn't even care about the music anymore. And that was the other thing. We talked about it in the previous video about how there were people in the music industry who are just like, I have no idea if this is going to sell or not. The Frank Zappa principle, just put it out and we'll see what happens. And then that's when the magic happened. How many bands kind of like failed only to come back with albums? The one that I think of almost distinctly, even though I do like their first album, is Faith No More. Like, they released the first album, it's pretty good. And then obviously they had the situation with the singer, and Mike Patton came in and just dropped a bomb. And then they followed it up with Angel Dust, and it just knocks you out. You know what I mean? Like, it's a band like that cannot survive in today's music market. Tool would not be a viable option in today's music market. There are so many fantastic metal bands that get completely marginalized because they just don't fit the mold. I listened to this one recently, and I'm not going to name names because I just want to stay neutral, if you will. And I was just like, this band is absolutely blistering, and this album's been out for like a year plus, and I'm just learning about it now. And then I watched this video 2 days ago on Century Media where it was like a bunch of emo kids doing like, some poor secondhand take of Demolisher. And I'm just like, boys, I'm sorry, no. You know what I mean? Like, no. And that's just it. The stuff that they're doing has been done by other bands, and it's been done better. I just listened to another band I haven't listened to in a while, which is called Raunchy. I don't know if you've ever heard them. They're called Raunchy, and the album's called Confusion Bay, and it's kind of like a mix of sort of like dance music and metal. I don't want to ruin it for you. Go listen to it for yourself. There are some absolutely killer tunes on this. It is fantastic, and that's what I'm talking about. That came out in like, who knows, 90s, maybe early 2000s, can't remember. But it's just like, you could sit there and start working on something and just listen to the whole album and be like, that was great. You know what I mean? And be completely satisfied if you're into metal. And that's my point, is I'm not hearing anything with these new bands that could even begin to touch that, even though it wants to. That's why music's dying. Because, oh, okay, well, it's a cute emo kid, and the metal emo, whatever OF models on the internet are going to swoon or something stupid like that. You ever notice that? Like, I'm not going to lie. I like to sit down in the morning and fire up the Twitters and read some news, if you will, and be entertained by some edgy memes and look at some naked and scantily clad women. Yeah, it is what it is. Actually, they did a whole spread on Samantha Fox, and it just brought back so many memories. Although I only had Iron Maiden posters on my wall. No Samantha Fox or Mariah Carey. So you know how it is. But the thing is that yeah, the hot chicks thing. It's the weirdest trend on the internet, because whenever I see these goth ones that are like, you know, basically targeting the metal community, which is just another symptom of the sort of, you know, how dysfunctional it is. It's not like I actually kind of went through some photos a while ago from when I was a kid, because I was going through some stuff in the closet. And with the girls with the 80s metal t-shirts and their hair all teased up and hair sprayed into a nuclear explosion and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, and they were just like, you know, just having a good time. And then you see the stuff that's on the internet right now that's trying to pass itself off as like what these metal girls used to be like. And it's just laughable, man. You just start laughing. You know what I mean? It's silly. And it's obviously trying to exploit some sort of pathetic aspect that has been, you know, satirized to the point of just buffoonery. You know what I mean? Like that. And here's the other thing, like at least 40% of it's just AI slop anyways. It's not even real. It's not just chicks that are into metal that, you know, want to participate with their opinion and just sharing their love of the music and stuff like that. Nah, we have to turn it into something else. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I like that too, man, but there's, you know what I mean? Do we need to have every single flavor? Just, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, oh, we got a metal crowd. We better come up with the metal thought. You know what I mean? And I'm just, that's my point. It's just, it's so silly and contrived. You see that, and then it's just, it makes metal look so silly. Why would anybody take it serious? It doesn't matter how many awesome bands are. That's the thing that gets 5 million views, not this killer band over here. This band over here that just dropped one of the hardest albums you've ever heard. You got like 1,500 views on YouTube when they gave away their music for free. But this chick here who sells, you know, farts in a jar and stuff like that, got dressed up in a corset and whatnot and gave me the, you know, the Friday Night Eyeballs, got like 10 million views and got paid. You know, the Amaranth sort of like syndrome, if you will. It's just, it's crazy. And we actually have the audacity to be like, oh, why is the music industry dying? It's stupid stuff like that. And I'm picking on the thoughts right now, but obviously the fact of the matter is that it's true about the music and the images, or the image of the bands producing the music too. You know, it's just become so cliched. If I see another band basically standing there all wearing different metal, you know, death metal album shirts and stuff like this from like the 1990s and whatnot, I'm just like, boys, I mean, we were doing that in the 90s. It's 2025. I think it's time to change it up. You don't have to declare your allegiance to like the killer sort of underground metal bands that inspired you. Just do your own thing. You know what I mean? And don't even worry about it. That's just it. There are a lot of metal bands that I didn't even know were metal bands. Leprous was another one that I was just like, this is a crazy band. But you would not expect them to be, you know, look the way they do. Lantlos was another one. Melting Sky is just, brilliant, absolute masterpiece of sort of shoegaze, sort of avant-garde metal, melodic metal, kind of like Alcest or Alcest, depending on how you like to say it. So, you know, everything is relative in a lot of ways. Once we started to kill off the community aspects of the metal and the music industry, then all of a sudden, all that was left over was just the commercial intent. And of course, you just kind of drain the life out of the movement. And it's done. Used to mean, you know, rebellion and sort of, I don't want to say, you know, like we were aggressive or anything like that. It was just, we didn't want to conform to society. We wanted to just remain in our own sort of like defiant stance, if you will. That's why we were really interested in metal. Plus, it was nice to, you know, just listen to music. They got your blood pumping. It was just cool. So I get a lot of people don't actually understand that, but that is not the esprit that we have today. Right? And I'm mostly talking about metal because honestly, pop music is not even worth talking about anymore. It is a caricature beyond a caricature of itself. I watched about 1 minute of this Sabrina Taylor video, mansplaining or something like that. I don't know. Because I saw a Rick Beato video talking about it, and I was like, I should go check it out. Let's just see how bad it really is. And it was so stupid. I was just like, nah, I'm literally losing brain cells just doing this right now. I just can't. Doesn't matter how cute she is in her like super cut off jean shorts and everything else like that. Like the music is assaulting my senses. It's like driving an ice pick into my eye. No, thank you. And that's my point. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how cute Sabrina Carpenter is or anything else like that. When the music actually repulses you like a mosquito, what does it matter? The eye candy. And that just goes to demonstrate the skewed, the skewed sort of perspective. Because clearly this girl can sing. It's not a question about her skill level. She can sing, absolutely. So if we put real material in front of her, she could probably actually make a pretty good tune and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That people would be like, yeah, that's really nice. But then they're basically forced to debase themselves to the point of whatever this is. And it's sad. It's like take California Girls from Katy Perry and just dial up the stupidity by about 20 and just be like, whoa, you know what I mean? It's just like, no, just no. You know what I mean? There comes a point where you're just like, it does not matter. I'm not going to subject myself to that. It doesn't matter what the situation is. No, I'm done. Immediately, I'm out. Just immediately no. And that is now can be applied, if you will, to essentially, 80% of music. And there's a few little pockets in metal and other avant-garde sort of Wild Wild West versions of music and whatnot that are still worth listening to. But the pond is shrinking on a regular basis. And unfortunately, there's not much we can do. We're going to have to survive the onslaught of AI and the commercial attempt to basically corner the music market, which is what you're seeing, and wait until the generations that come next, like Generation Alpha or whatever is next after that, Beta. Yikes. What's your gen? Gen Beta. Would we ever screw them? Anyways, until they kind of come back around and they're like, there's a whole bunch of other benefits. That's the other thing we've lost sight of, all the benefits that music used to provide. A way to fight back against the establishment, if you will, government powers. Look at how effective the anti-war lobby was with respect to music in Vietnam and whatnot. and countless other ones too. And you just saw it again. You might have seen this little whatever situation going on over in the UK with Glastonbury, where this guy was starting to, fire up the crowd or whatever it is. And listen, free speech, it is what it is. But you see what I mean? There are a lot of people there was like, yeah. So that's probably not good. I'm against violence, you know what I mean? Because it only hurts everyone. If we start destroying our own countries or anything else, or getting into a war where we're going to have to put some skin in the game and hit maybe the foxhole or the trench, comparably to right now, not really high on my priority list. I don't know about you. But you get the idea here is that we kind of traded that sort of gift of being able to go to a cool concert. I remember times going to Canada's Wonderland. I saw, is it Don McLean? American Pie. I saw that live. Like, how many people can actually say that? I'm sure that there are lots of people, but I saw his band. John Denver, another guy. You know what I mean? He talked about swallowing a bug. I'll never forget it. You know what I'm talking about? Like, even at the time when I was a kid and I was listening to like Maiden, I was like, I hate John Denver. And then I heard John Denver's tune. I think it was Rocky Mountain Way or one of the other ones there, one of his classics. And it just took me back, you know what I mean? And there was just this timelessness about his music. It made me think immediately of that concert at Canada's Wonderland. And there are so many more of those instances when I was at Monsters of Rock and Nikki Sixx threw out his bass into the crowd and they just tore it apart. Or when people were throwing big chunks of grass up into the air for no reason whatsoever and all this other stuff, you know what I mean? When I walk right past Roxette, I don't know if you know who that is. She was a pop star in the early 90s, I guess. But she was huge. She had to be like 6'2". That's all I remember about Roxette. I was just like, oh my God. And the guy that's with her, he was another monster too. He had to be 6'3". They're just these insanely tall people. You know what I mean? It's just simple little things like that I remember. And now that stuff is gone because it's all about the image and promulgating this silly illusion like, oh, you can join like, the privileged class and get driven around in an Escalade and live in the Hollywood Hills and, carry the bag or whatever else is silly nonsense, get a BBL and get some plastic surgery done or whatever nonsense it is. It's so stupid. We've taken all the best parts and just killed it and now turned it into this husk. It's like, and I'll leave it at this. It's like when pretty girls go to Hollywood and they just start getting chewed up. And then all of a sudden they start to lose their looks because they get older. So they get addicted to plastic surgery and they just ruin it. Instead of just aging gracefully, they kind of turn themselves into a monster. And so I was like, remember this person? I saw one yesterday where they were taking these people and using AI and morphing them from when they were 20 to where they are right now. And the difference was just shocking. Was absolute. There was one, I don't know if you've ever seen her, the Catwoman. She died recently, I think. When she was young, I was like, no. I had to rewind the video. You know what I mean? That's what happened is the industry lost all of what was actually important instead of prioritizing the fact to just keep it healthy and stuff like that and support these people so they could mentor new people and keep the system going. They just kept whittling it down until it was just the stuff that they're like, oh, this is the bare bones we need to operate, and then tried to turn it into some sort of mechanized process where they removed all the organic elements that were necessary to create great musicians. And that was that. And now we're going to have to go through another 5 years like we did with respect to Napster, and it's going to be even more brutal. The cuts will be more brutal. Only the people that actually love music will survive. That's just a fact. So that's why I said at the beginning, just do it because you love it. And if you do and you hold on, then you never know when you're getting older and stuff like that, or maybe you'll be an old man like me. People listen to your music and be like, this is pretty badass. And maybe you'll get your moment in the sun or whatever else, but it doesn't matter if you do or don't. Just do it because you love the craft, you love the sort of creative process, and you love the challenge of basically becoming a skilled musician. And as long as you stay true to those principles, the music will always stay true to you, and therefore what happens to the music industry and the music on a macro scale is irrelevant. You're chasing and basically playing against your own devils, and you can never beat them because you'll never beat the sort of your own sense of being like, I could be a little bit better tomorrow. As long as you keep that in the forefront of your mind, you'll be fine, because everything else, like I said, is meaningless. At the end of the day, you're going to be a 65-year-old man sitting in front of a campfire, just watching the stars and, plucking a few strings and just enjoying the downtime and being like, life's good right now, drinking a beer or whiskey or whatever it is and enjoying life. And that's really what it's all about. See you in the next one.